The FBI and the Department of Justice operate at that level more like the secret police in a fascist or a communist or Nazi state. I mean, they don't operate like anything we would recognize as the Department of Justice or the FBI.
As you can tell, Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump and the other defendants in the RICO case in Georgia and the many other indictments against Donald Trump are not taking it well. Rudy Giuliani was actually on the list of people who was arrested along with Donald Trump. So I decided to get together a little compilation of people who were arrested with Trump in Georgia on, the RICO case, and I don't remember exactly what it was. What were the charges?
Next week, former President Trump and his co-defendants will...
I do not want that. There is one thing in this world that pisses me off more than anything on planet Earth. And anybody that knows me personally will tell you what that thing is. And it just happened to me again. Audio playing against my will, without my permission. Okay, I have a Mac that I use for editing, and that's what you're looking at right now, my Mac. And then I have a Windows computer that I use for streaming. When I start hearing audio coming from random places, I don't know which computer it's coming from. I don't know which browser tab it's coming from. I have like 16 different windows open at all times. It's impossible to find. There's nothing on planet Earth that pisses me off more than audio playing against my permission. And personally, I am of the opinion, I know it's controversial, but I believe we should track down whichever programmer it was that was working on Microsoft and or iOS or whatever. We should track that person down, and we should show them some public executions. We should bring public executions back for people who endorse this position. And you know what? While these public executions are taking place, I want it to happen right in the middle of the town square, so everybody is aware that if you allow sound to play through a browser tab or whatever without alerting me as to which tab it's coming from, this is going to happen to you next. And I want to force everybody within a 5-mile radius to come out of their house under threat of death to watch it take place. That is how much. That's my only exception for the death penalty. That's how much I hate sounds playing from my browser tabs without my permission or knowledge. Anyway, we were finding out what charges Donald Trump was facing in Georgia. I got to be careful because that was obviously a joke, but I don't want it to be taken as like an endorsement of like violence or something. Quick interjection. I won't take long. I just wanted to tell you guys, YouTube's algorithm operates off of a few factors. Watch time, whether or not you subscribe, and whether or not you like something. So if you really want to help my channel, I would appreciate it if you guys watch the video to the end. If you don't watch it to the end, just watch a little bit longer than you would have otherwise. I would appreciate that very much. All right, let's get back to the video. Okay, so right here we've got AP News that's kind of listing like the co-defendants and the charges and everything. The Georgia case, I don't know about all of the other defendants like Rudy Giuliani, like Harrison Floyd, and like others. I don't know about them. But Trump himself was charged with a ton of stuff, including but not limited to the RICO Act, Racketeer Influence in Corrupt Organizations Act, 3 counts of solicitation of violation of oath by public officer, 1 count of conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree, so on and so forth, that kind of thing. They are not handling it well. Oh boy, are they upset over what's going on right now, and it is fascinating to watch. I love it to death. You know what I love more than watching these people squirm? Watching Don Jr. squirm at the possibility that his dad or his family or his legacy or his whatever is going to crash and burn. Check this out. Late August 2023. This is Alex Jones's lawyer, or I don't think it's his lawyer, but it's a lawyer that works with Alex Jones. I think it's one of the hosts on one of Alex Jones's or one of InfoWars shows. He was talking to Don Jr. Listen to this.
Of the charges in D.C. by the Senate going through the constitutional process of impeachment. This is a guy who's been impeached twice, acquitted twice, his whole life, macroscopic, microscopic view. I told people he must be the most innocent New York real estate man in the history of America.
Ever.
Dude, what? What did you just say about Donald Trump?
The most innocent New York real estate man in the history of America.
Ever.
The most innocent real estate man in the history of America. They can't settle for he's innocent. They have to take it a step further every time, don't they? What an absolutely absurd thing to say, for real. And Don Jr. looks like he's been generated by some AI. It's like a deep fake. He's got way too many teeth in this head. Can't tell if this is real or not. Jesus, dude.
New York real estate man in the history of America.
Ever.
Absolutely, by any doubt. I mean, if they couldn't find a speck, and instead they had to make up fake charges.
Okay, I don't know who they is. Are they in the room with us right now? And also, what does he mean when he says they couldn't find a speck? Are you saying that Donald Trump is completely spotless? He's squeaky clean. He's never broken a law in his entire life. Never done anything. Never even jaywalked. Is that what this dude is trying to communicate? This is insane. Again, they're not handling this well, these people. The Trump defendants, the people that are involved in Trump's case, I'm not going to use weasel words like they did. I'm actually going to define they. Don Jr., Eric Trump, the whole Trump family, all of the defendants involved, and all of the far-right talk show hosts, like who we're listening to right now on InfoWars, all of them. They're losing their minds over this right now, and I am eating this up. I love it.
Fake charges for fake cases, but in the process, they're endangering America's constitutional future.
They're endangering America's constitutional future. Is there a hyperbole too far for these people? That's what I want to know.
What I tell people is this case isn't really just about President Trump. It's about the future of the country.
Totally. I guess there is no hyperbole too far for them, apparently.
Either we're going to survive or we're not going to survive. And how these cases are handled and how the public responds and reacts on Election Day will shape the future of the country. Because these are cases, this implicates First Amendment rights in terms of selective prosecution.
No, it doesn't. This is something that was addressed in the indictment. I believe they're talking about Trump's fourth indictment, which is the Georgia case. I'm not sure what we're up to at this point. Are we on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? I don't know. Anyway, the indictments have all said this isn't about free speech. You're allowed to say whatever you want. You're allowed to even lie and claim the election was stolen when it was not. But when you intend to commit a criminal act and you lie in that process, everything that you just did is illegal. He's being charged with the Racketeering and Corrupt Organizations Act or something. I forget what, the RICO Act. He's being charged with conspiracy to commit forgery, or what were the things here? 1 count of conspiracy to commit impersonating a public officer, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree, so on and so forth. He's being charged with all of this stuff, not because of what he said, but because of what he did or what he intended to do. If you have a concealed carry permit, for example, right, you're allowed to carry a gun on you concealed in your waist belt or whatever, and you forget that you have it on you. You're just going about your business, doing your thing, and you go into the bank and you deposit some money and then you leave the bank and no one's the wiser. You had no intent. You just forgot. There's no criminal conspiracy there. But if you walk in with the gun and pull it out and set it on the counter and ask to make a withdrawal, that's not free speech being violated when you get arrested. You just committed a crime. Is it illegal to own a gun? No. Is it illegal to bring a gun into a bank? Under some circumstances, I think it's legal to do, depending on which state and jurisdiction and stuff. Is it legal to make a withdrawal from a bank? Yes, all of those things individually are all legal. It is illegal to walk into a bank with a gun, set it on the counter, and tell the clerk you want to make a withdrawal like that. It's very clear what you intended to do at that point, and you will go to jail for the rest of your life if you do something like that. So all these things that they're describing, this free speech stuff, no, it's not about Trump's free speech being violated. Trump is allowed to lie about anything he wants. It's about the fact that he formulated a conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree. He has 2 counts of false statements and writings, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit false statements and writings, 1 count of filing false documents, 1 count of conspiracy to commit filing false documents. The list goes on and on and on. That's just one indictment that we're dealing with. That's just the Georgia case. I haven't even touched on the federal ones. We're talking 2 felony counts, including 1 conspiracy count, of obstructing an official proceeding under 18 U.S.C. subsection 1512, 1 felony count of conspiracy to defraud the U.S. under 18 U.S.C. subsection 371, 1 felony count of conspiracy against rights. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. None of this stuff is a free speech violation. None of it. Okay, these people are just looking for a reason for Trump to be innocent, and for all of the other people, they're just kind of ignoring him, seemingly, like they don't even care about him. But trust me, those people are outraged, too, that they're being charged with the crimes that they committed. Oh, and by the way, I'm not sure who actually threw this clip together. I think it may have been Ron Filipkowski on the Twit or on Threads. I'm not sure where I got it originally. But next time, if you're watching, might have been Right Wing Watch, might have been Hemant Mehta, might have been Filipkowski. It was probably Filipkowski. Please don't zoom in on Don's face. Not this close. I mean, give me a black screen, if anything. I just don't want to be this close to Don Jr. at any moment. Thank you to Ron Filipkowski for getting these clips either way, in all seriousness.
Will shape the future of the country. Because these are cases, I mean, this implicates First Amendment rights in terms of selective prosecution, First Amendment rights in terms of freedom of press, freedom of speech, freedom
No, it doesn't.
of assembly, and the right to petition the government, one of the most foundational rights constitutionally.
Yeah, no, it doesn't affect any of that stuff. None of this stuff's affected. Like, what is going on right now?
Every single thing they accused President Trump of, as Professor Turley.
That was the end. God, he just went off on a screed, dude. This guy is really, really upset that Donald Trump is being charged with the crimes that he committed. And Don Jr. is just kind of sitting here like smiling and, God, this is just too close. I'll tell you what, guys, I'll make a promise to you. Next time I get a clip of Don Jr., I will make sure that these gigantic teeth are not this close to your face at any moment, okay? There's actually another defendant that you may not have heard of. His dude's name is Harrison Floyd, okay? And he's a black defendant. This is from late August 2023. He went on Steve Bannon's show. Now, before we watch this video, I want to tell you who this guy is, Harrison Floyd. I looked him up specifically. I wanted to know what it was that he did. This is on ABC News. Harrison Floyd, only defendant held in Georgia election case, released from Fulton County Jail. So, here's the bottom line. All of the other defendants in the Fulton County, Georgia case were filthy rich and could post bail easily. I got the impression that Harrison Floyd, this guy right here on the right, is not filthy rich. I don't know. I have no clue. But he was held. He wasn't allowed to leave the jail for 7 days, and I suspect that's because of bail. I don't know. Let's just read this article real quick about him. Harrison Floyd, the only one of 19 defendants in Fulton County DA Fani Willis's election interference case to be held overnight after surrendering to authorities last week, has been released from Fulton County Jail, according to the inmate database. Placed into custody last Thursday after surrendering for processing without a pre-negotiated bond agreement, Floyd spent 6 days at the facility before posting bail and being released Wednesday. Oh, I see. So Fani Willis basically told these people, you need to turn yourself in by Thursday. And most of them, like Giuliani, presumably, and the other 19, negotiated bond agreements before coming in and then brought the money with them, which is a reasonable and expected thing to do. I don't like the system, but that's how it works, and that's reasonable under the circumstances. I don't think that I think she should have put them all in cuffs, honestly. She shouldn't have given them an opportunity to turn themselves in. She should have showed up and arrested them all individually. But okay, fine, whatever. So he didn't negotiate a bond agreement before walking in. He just walked in. And that's probably the reason why he was held, if I had to guess. At his first appearance hearing last Friday, he was denied bond by Judge Emily Richardson, who cited his criminal record and flight risk. "There's no way that I'm a flight risk, ma'am. I showed up before the president," Floyd, the former director of the organization Black Voices for Trump, said during the hearing. The former director, Black Voices for Trump. Okay, apparently Black Voices for Trump is a political group that's raised support for Donald Trump among African Americans. It was founded in 2019. The organization launched with an event at the Georgia World Congress Center featuring Ben Carson and Herman Cain. At a Black Voices for Trump event in Atlanta, Trump pledged to make Juneteenth a federal holiday and push for economic development. Wow, really interesting. Okay. So anyway, I guess he was the former director of that. In a consent order filed on Tuesday, which is so like 5 days after or 4 days after he was arrested or turned himself in. In a consent order filed on Tuesday, Judge Scott McAfee set Floyd's bond amount at $100,000, which is roughly in the range of the others, a little bit lower actually. Trump's was $200,000, and included the same conditions of release as the majority of his 18 co-defendants, that he must report to pretrial supervision monthly, cannot speak with witnesses or co-defendants outside the presence of counsel, and cannot intimidate witnesses or obstruct justice. Floyd is one of 19 defendants, including former President Trump, charged in a sweeping racketeering indictment for alleged efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in the state of Georgia. Floyd is facing charges of influencing witnesses and soliciting false statements and writings. Uh-oh. You wondered what this dude's role was in this whole thing? Charges of influencing witnesses and soliciting false statements and writings after he allegedly attempted to influence Fulton County election worker Ruby Freeman, according to Willis indictment. Oh boy. That's not good. So anyways, that's what this dude did, if you were wondering. He was released eventually. I don't know if Georgia works the same way as West Virginia, but in West Virginia, when you receive a bond hearing, basically, they'll set an amount, $100,000, and they know most people don't have that kind of money. And those people are going to sit in there forever, basically, or until their trial date, actually. That's when they're going to get out, or when they have an opportunity to get out. But a lot of the time in West Virginia, they'll set your bond amount to, say, $40,000, right? Or hell, let's say it's a lower amount. Say $5,000 bond if it's not as serious a charge as some of the things that these people are facing. Now, the $5,000 bond means that you can either put up a piece of property that's worth $5,000, or you can put up cash that is 10% of that amount. So you can put up $500 cash, or you can put your car's title up or your house's title up or something, and you can sign it over to these people, and they will hold on to it to guarantee that you will show up to these hearings. And when you show up, you get the money back, or you get the title back, you get the whatever back. That's how it works, generally. So unless it's cash only. In some cases, they do cash only. My understanding is this was cash or bond. So Donald Trump's bond was $200,000, and he got a bail bondsman in the area to put up $20,000 for him in cash. They brought money and put $20,000 down to guarantee that Trump will show up. Now, Trump is going to pay the bail bondsman that $20,000, and the bail bondsman's going to get that $20,000 back when Trump shows up to court. So it's basically doubling the bail bondsman's money. That's how they make their money. And that's, how they stay in business. Anyways, this guy had to put up $10,000 probably to get out, or put up his house's title. That's if it works the same as it does in West Virginia. That's what I'm assuming. Anyways, he got out. So when he got out, he showed up on Steve Bannon's show to talk about the outrage of being charged with witness intimidation and the other things that he did in this case. Listen to what he had to say on Steve Bannon. Dude is a complete nutcase. Late August 2023.
You think you were singled out because you're an African American, and particularly a MAGA? You're MAGA. You're a Trump supporter. You're a patriot. You're a veteran. Do you think you were singled out because of that?
Wow, that's a super honest and unbiased question to be asked by Bannon, huh? No, he just didn't negotiate a bond hearing beforehand like the other 18 people did. That's kind of on him. That was probably a wise decision, but that tells me nobody was really talking to him. And to my knowledge, he's not a lawyer. The others were lawyers, or many of them were, and they were aware of what they were capable of doing and the best way to get out of this situation for themselves. He probably had no idea, and he just walked in, is my guess.
Part of it, part of the black culture is always voting Democrat.
Well, I mean, the KKK endorses Republicans. The KKK is a conservative group, and throughout all of, American history have been on the conservative side. They've consistently voted conservative. So, yeah, I suppose you could say that it's culturally inappropriate for a member of the black community to vote for the party that repeats KKK talking points, the party that is endorsed by the KKK and even runs candidates that are members of the KKK historically and even in present day. Yeah, I would say that's a little bit weird for somebody to do.
The black culture is always voting Democrat. I went against the code, if you will, at the high.
You mean you voted for the party that is endorsed by the KKK and runs KKK candidates? Yeah, I'd say you went against the code, sure.
The code, if you will, at the highest order. And so the district attorney decided she wanted to send me what we call as a Negro wake-up call. And she dialed the wrong number because it didn't go through. So
this is just disgusting, dude. These people are not reacting well, is the point. And Harrison Floyd is going to use any card he possibly can to make himself look persecuted. They all will. Trump is using every card he has to make himself look persecuted too. Giuliani claimed that, if you remember at the very beginning of this, that this is the type of thing that the Nazis did. Remember?
The FBI and the Department of Justice operate at that level more like the secret police in a fascist or a communist or Nazi state. I mean, they don't operate like anything we would recognize as the Department of Justice or the FBI.
They're just falling apart, dude. They are falling apart. That is the bottom line. And honestly, I'm here for every second of it. I love it. I am eating this up. This is John Eastman. He is the lawyer who gave Trump the justification that he needed to violate the Constitution, basically. He said, this part of the Constitution's a little ambiguous and we're not really sure what it means. When, in reality, it wasn't ambiguous. It was very, very clear. There's a part of the Constitution that describes what happens and how votes are counted and everything else. Delegates show up that are sent from the states after elections are certified by the states on December 14th or 18th or whatever it was that year. After the votes are all certified by the states, which they were on, I think, December 18th of 2020, on January 6th, Congress gets together and the vice president ceremonially counts the votes. That's it. He just sits there and he pulls them out and he counts them one after another. That's his only role. He can't contest them. He can't send them back to the states. He can't do anything. The Constitution's very clear on this. Your role as vice president is to count the votes. That's it. John Eastman claimed that you can do more than just count the votes. You can do whatever you want. You can send it back to the states. You can whatever. The goal was to cause chaos so that there would be a constitutional crisis. We didn't know what to do next because the Constitution didn't outline what to do next. And Trump just stays in power. That was the goal, ultimately. Listen to John Eastman's analysis of the situation after being released from the Fulton County Jail or whatever, after being released from arrest.
I'm sorry, do you think the president should have spoken out sooner, given the footage that was readily available?
We're talking about January 6th. Do you think he should have spoken out on January 6th to prevent people from doing something psychotic?
Was readily available.
Yeah, I don't want to get in the middle of what those deliberations were. I wasn't.
Ooh, boy. You don't want to get in the middle of it, huh? Wow, you found yourself smack dab in the middle of it, didn't you?
In the middle of what those deliberations were. I wasn't party to them. And, there's a lot that goes on in those situation rooms that I don't know anything about. So I don't want to get in the middle of that.
Situation room. There's a lot in those situation rooms. We're talking about what happened on January 6th. Your ass came up with the plan, okay? You were in the middle of it. What do you mean you don't want to get in the middle of it? Oh God, these people are just losing their minds right now, and I'm eating it up, man. I love it to death. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I think it's hilarious, and I hope to see these people face justice for once in their lives. Donald Trump, I don't know if he's going to face justice. Probably not. He's too old. He's probably going to delay until, his clock hits midnight and it's over for him. That's my guess. I mean, he's already like 80 or something, isn't he? I think he can delay for a while and maybe even get house arrest if he does finally face music. But these other people, nobody cares about these other people. I think these other people like John Eastman and who is it? Harrison Floyd, dude who engaged in witness intimidation, and Giuliani. I mean, Giuliani's famous in his own right, so I think they're in bad shape. I think that they are actually going to face justice, and I am here for every second of it. I love it. Let me know what you think in the comments.